Today, we're going to be talking about HRIS, HRMS, and HCM. I'm going to be covering what they are, why are they so important for your organization, what differentiates them. I've done a ton of research on this topic, mix that with my years of experience of working with HR technology to bring you guys the most comprehensive overview of HR technology on the web. So let's get it. Now, let's face it, HR has a bunch of manual, administrative, repetitive tasks that are perfect for moving into a system so they can be streamlined and automated. The early systems focused on those type of tasks, and HR has seen a year-over-year transformation and improvement in HR technology. And now the leading systems are really focused on the value add to an organization with things like the employee experience and people analytics. The days of mountains of paperwork and manual processes are closely in the rearview mirror for us. And a lot of the leading organizations, most of the HR actions can be done right from a smartphone, which is pretty amazing. Now let's jump in and talk what's the difference between HRS, HRMS, and HCM. First, I want to say that a lot of people use these terms interchangeably, and that's not right or wrong, but there is a subtle difference between them. First, let's start out with HRS. Think of this as the foundational layer in your HR tech stack. This is really your central database of critical employee data. Think of legal name, social, contact information, employment dates, compensation, time, payroll. Those type of things are handled at the HRS level. And a lot of the leading systems have business processes and workflow around changes to the employee profile or any of the data related to these applications. And that allows an organization really to streamline and automate processes and data changes within this layer. Next up, we have HRMS, which stands for Human Resources Management System. And this is really that next layer on top of the HRS, or as I like to call the warm and fuzzy HR applications, really where you get into recruitment, talent, performance management, learning development. Those type of applications are handled at this layer of HRMS. And last, we have HCM, which is Human Capital Management. And this is the all-encompassing system that includes HRS and HRMS, also with additional things like people analytics and employee experience. This is the all-encompassing term that we should use for kind of all of HR technology. However, when I looked at all of the major vendors' websites, top industry experts, no one really had a standardization of what applications lived at what level and what terminology they were using. So no wonder at the day-to-day analyst level or at the employee level, they have no idea what to call things as HRS, HCM, HRMS. So I like to call everything HR technology. And going forward in this video, I'm just going to call everything HR technology. Now that we're clear as mud on that, let's go into the two main philosophies that organizations have for their HR technology. That's their operational strategy and a human experience strategy. First off, with the operational strategy, we see a really tactical approach to HR. It's really focused on data accuracy and paycheck accuracy. So really, you're going to hire people, you're going to collect time, and you're going to pay them. Very basic. We see this most of the time in small to mid-sized organizations. And really, once you hit critical mass and you start transitioning from mid to a large organization, you really need to shift to a human experience strategy where you're focusing on really engaging, growing, attracting, and retaining your workforce. And that's where we see a really holistic approach to HR, data-driven decisions, and really that next generation is that human experience strategy for your HR technology. So next up, I'm going to geek out with you a little bit here and go into the architecture of HR technology, because this is where we really see a big change in the ecosystem and really how the future of HR technology is going. So we have our on-prem or hosted and our cloud solutions. When we look at on-prem, we think of this as like the traditional software technology model, somewhat outdated in today, but a lot of organizations still like this. It just depends on IT leadership on which method you're going to really gravitate towards. So on-prem, you're actually buying the application, you're going to install it locally on a physical server within your building, or you're going to have your IT group set up a virtual server and you're going to install it there. When it comes to upgrades, enhancements, the patches, you're going to have to deploy that to the application. So there's a lot of manual work associated with it. However, you can customize and you can grow that. So some organizations love that. A lot of organizations are moving away from this as a thing of the past. Next, let's jump into hosted versus cloud, because I think there's a lot of gray area and confusion around this and some misleading facts on this. So when you look at hosted, very similar to on-prem, is that you have a single version of the application that you own, that instead of you having to install it on physical servers or a virtual server and your IT group having to do patches and upgrades, now that's all handled by the vendor. So that's all outsourced onto their servers. When it comes to cloud, you have what's called multi-tenancy, and you have everybody accessing the same software, the same application. What is unique about multi-tenancy is your data is what gets partitioned. So you're bringing your data to the application. Other people aren't seeing that. They're not seeing your configurations. However, you're still all accessing the same application. When it comes to complex things like cloud technology, I think it's really helpful to use an analogy or an example from our real life that really helps solidify it. So let's look at Gmail, because that's a cloud technology, and a SaaS, which is a software as a service technology. So everybody's used Gmail or has something for an email client very similar to Gmail. We're all on the same version of Gmail. However, my emails are private to me. So I can have confidential information. I can have two-factor, banking information going back and forth within my Gmail, and no one else is going to see that. I can set that up on my iPad, my mobile phone, my iPhone, my computer, whatever I want. I can configure Gmail to my needs, and that's going to be very different from everybody else's needs. And that's where you have a technology like Workday that is a true cloud technology. Everybody's on the same version, and this helps organizations not get behind, because I specifically work with government organizations, and a lot of times we go in and work with clients, and they are 10 years behind on updates and upgrades. And a lot of time their vendors come to them at that point and say, look, you're so far behind that we have to do a re-implementation to get you caught up to the latest version. At that point, they end up going out there and looking for a new vendor because they're extremely unhappy. So when you go with a SaaS technology or a cloud technology for your HR technology, this really removes the barrier for upgrades and updates and keeps you always current on the latest version. And what happened is, just like Gmail or Facebook or Instagram or any of the cloud technologies that we use all the time, is you're able to turn things on and off. So maybe there's a feature that gets rolled out that you're not ready to adopt. You can turn that off, and then a year down the road, when you're ready to test that and adopt that, or a new manager comes in and wants to roll that out, they can turn that on and you still have that functionality. You never missed out on it. So that is the power of cloud technology, which is really the future of HR technology. I've seen lately some industry experts saying large organizations really like to customize and make their software unique to them, which is true. But large organizations that have that resource and that capability is really, I would say, a smaller percentage of the entire makeup of HR technology users throughout the world. So when we think of small and mid-sized organizations that only have maybe less than 10 people to support their HR technology, they really are well served by cloud technology. So now that you fully understand the complete HR technology ecosystem, architecture, strategy, it would be very helpful for me if you could go hit that like button and help me share this video out with more people and educate them on HR technology. So let's jump into HR technology vendors, because there are hundreds of them. If you were at the latest HR technology conference, or if you do a quick Google search, you will see how many vendors are out there. And I am not able to do a complete list of them. I can give you the big main ones off of Gartner's 2022 Magic Quadrant for 1,000 employees and up. I'll show that right here. And you can look, there's the big players, there's the Workdays, the Oracles, SAP, UKG, ADP out there. However, within each individual module for benefits, absence, time tracking, payroll, recruitment, learning, and so on, there are a ton of best in breed vendors as well. So I don't want to do an all inclusive list because I am going to leave some people out. Next up, I've put a couple of recommended videos up here for you to help you on your HR technology and HR journey. I'm HR Wyatt, and I will see you in one of these videos next.